Some of the images coming out of China at the moment are just remarkable. There's been absolutely torrential rain, and consequently Beijing has been under the highest level alert for flooding for the last couple of days. We've seen cars being swept down, swollen and churning rivers. We've seen floodwaters a metre or two high in the street, as well as destroyed bridges and roads. There's around 130,000 people who've been evacuated in Beijing itself. Another 35,000 have been evacuated in nearby Tianjin. And in the Hebei province, the number of people affected is in the hundreds of thousands. Now, there are helicopters also flying into communities in mountainous areas which have been cut off. So far, there have been reports in state media of 11 people who've died in the Beijing area and another 9 in the Hebei province. We did hear earlier today that around 27 people have been reported unaccounted for, but 14 of those have now been found. This is one of the worst storms to hit China in years, and the local government in Beijing has said rainfall over the past few days has broken records set 11 years ago in a particularly bad storm. So here's Ma Jun, who's the director of the Institute of Public and Environmental Affairs, explaining just how significant this rain is.
The whole year's rainfall is about precipitation is less than 500 millimeters. So you can imagine 3 days, nearly close to 1 year of precipitation. So it's really a very big extreme weather.
So, Kathleen, I guess that means that the scale of the rescue efforts and, of course, the cleanup is just going to be enormous.
It is, Beverly. It's really hard to imagine at this stage while the floodwaters are still subsiding. China's Finance Ministry and the Emergency Management Ministry have announced the equivalent of around 15 million Australian dollars for the rescue work across Beijing, Tianjin and Hebei. There are already thousands of workers out there in the rescue effort and also helping with the cleanup, and we've already seen images of tractors and also people shoveling just huge amounts of mud off the road. There have also been reports of what we would refer to as swiftwater rescues, where a man was rescued off the roof of his car after it was pulled around 20 metres in rapids. Now, in the Fujian province, where the typhoon first made landfall late last week, state media has reported that 18,000 homes were destroyed and more than 500,000 people evacuated, while the economic toll is estimated to be the equivalent of around $3 billion.
That's extraordinary. What is the forecast then like for the rest of the week?
Well, it has been a particularly eventful few days for the weather here in East Asia. This Typhoon Doksuri, it hit the north of the Philippines. Initially, it skirted the south of Taiwan, and then we saw it hit the coast at Fujian province late last week. And as I mentioned, there was a lot of damage there. Now, despite being downgraded, it has caused this huge amount of flooding as it's moved north into Beijing and the other surrounding areas. But now there's also concern about another typhoon which has formed. It's forecast it could hit the coastal areas of China later this week. However, it could also turn northwards and head towards Japan.
Yeah, so probably no let up for the moment. Good to talk, Kathleen. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Bev.